Join us today as we talk about family and excellence and how putting people first can allow revenue to follow. Tune in.
Good morning, Shawn. Welcome to Assisted Living Facility Rookie, one of the newer podcasts here helping connecting rookies with experts like yourself. Can you tell us more about yourself?
Yeah, before I do, man, thanks for having me and thanks for doing this. I love the fact that you've built a podcast, directly related to an industry that I'm very passionate about, and obviously you must be as well because you're trying to get in this business.
Exactly.
So I think it's super cool what you're doing, and so yeah, thanks again for having me. But yeah, I'm Shawn Medlin. I'm founder and CEO of a company called Seasons Assisted Living and Memory Care. We have three locations. The location, our newest, I just built from the ground up.
Wow.
And yeah, I've been in this industry for going on about 9 years now.
hmm
Yeah.
You from the ground up, you mean like from construction to like less? Wow.
Yeah, I always say there's three ways to get in this business. As I'm sure you probably know, one is to make an acquisition.
hmm
I've done that. Two is to find a home and convert it to an assisted living and memory care. I've done that. And
Wow.
then the last is to build one from the ground up. And so we just completed construction on this, my newest one in North Houston. And yeah, it's 16 bed, it's about 10,000 square feet, and it's going to be licensed for both assisted living and memory care. So super excited. We just passed our fire marshal inspection, and now we're getting ready for our state survey. We're here in the next
Wow.
couple of weeks. So, man, it's never a dull moment.
Like, let me go back to that the ground up one. Like, what does your time frame look like from like the time you acquired the land to like where you are now? How long did all that take so
You
far?
know, full transparency, it took way longer than what it should have. Going back, I mean, I acquired close to 6 acres of land on a very busy highway in a
hmm
fantastic location, and with the intent of building, multiple homes on this
hmm
6 acres, building kind of, a little neighborhood, if you will. And we have plans to build more. But to get the first one done, it took close to 2 years
Wow.
to get the project. Of course, the economy changed. I
hmm
mean, in the middle of the project, inflation almost, right after we got our construction financing, the inflation kicked in, and so a lot of the money or a lot of our cost for lumber and things like that, they just started
hmm
skyrocketing. So we had to pivot a little bit and make a couple of moves to keep the project going. But
Wow.
we just had our first three residents move in to the new building, and they're loving it. And it's been we just had our ribbon cutting event a month or so ago, and yeah, dude, it's going really well.
That's excellent. That was one of the things myself where I had to decide like, do I want to build from the ground up? Do I want to make something like that? Or do I want to buy something that's already established and in place? And ultimately, it was the time frame that kind of made the decision for me. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
do I want to wait like a year, 2 years to get this done? So, definitely couldn't wait that long. I had some stuff I had to do. So
Yeah, no, no, no. And so the one you're considering, it's already licensed and operating?
it's already licensed, it's already operating. It's been a assisted living facility for about 10 years, 10 and 11 years. It's just
Okay.
like a husband and wife team.
Yeah.
And they're trying to, it's a great story. I'll probably bring them in once we close, but
Yeah.
They're like an immigrant family. This is one of their things that they wanted to do to generate income, and they just kind of blew up from there, and it really like changed their lives, So
Well,
that's what I like to hear.
that's huge, and I can tell you more about how I got started in this business, but it's it's a good business. So congrats on
Yeah,
that, man. You'll have to once you get all your details and and you can talk about it. I'd love to hear the backstory.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So like 9 years, like, can you tell me like what got you into assisted living in the first place?
So, yeah, interesting story. It was kind of a perfect storm, if you will.
Mhm.
My wife and I were both working, these corporate jobs. I worked for a tech company. She was
Mhm.
in pharmaceutical sales. And, I was traveling all the time and, gone away from my family. We knew that we wanted to get into real estate, right?
Mhm.
And, start, investing in real estate. And we did what I think a lot of people do that are wanting to become real estate investors. We went out and saved up and bought a rental property, just a single family home.
Yeah.
And, once we got a tenant in there, it was cash flowing, I don't know, $300 a month at the time, and I'm like,
That's
I
pretty
remember,
good. That's
yeah,
pretty
it's
good.
actually not bad for a single family. But, leaving, I'll never forget leaving the title company on closing day. And I'm, after buying this single family home and I'm like, yes, we're finally real estate investors. Right. And, but once I started putting the pencil to it, I said, okay, this $300 extra a month in cash flow, that's nice and all, but I'm going to need like 100 of these to like replace an
Exactly.
executive salary,
Exactly.
and to get out of corporate America. So, we just continued to learn real estate and, I was listening to a lot of podcasts and just getting educated. And around that time, my wife's grandmother passed away
Ah.
and left everyone on her side of the family kind of scrambling and trying to figure out what to do with grandpa who had
Mhm.
dementia. And once that is kind of the perfect storm of how we ended up in this business. I started looking at the industry and it was one of those things, Carl, that it was like, I can do this better. I can do
Mhm.
this better, this senior living, but I need to do it in a smaller setting, right?
Mhm.
And so, anyways, we started looking around and we actually found one that was already licensed and operating, kind of like what you're talking
Nice.
about. It was only licensed for 6 beds or 6 residents, and it was the folks that we bought it from. So we made an acquisition, and we purchased both the real estate and the business,
Mhm.
and we were off to the races. And that was another exciting day at the closing table, because I remember very distinctly when after closing was over, and we said our goodbyes, I looked at my wife and I said, we're in the senior living business. And so
Oh man.
we literally drive over to the care home and, we had 6 residents and we had, I think at the time, maybe a staff of like 10 caregivers and a manager. And we were in business. And so that
Wow.
was kind of our entry into assisted living. And we immediately went to work because the home had a very large backyard. I knew that I wanted to expand it as quickly as possible.
Mhm.
And so we, got with an architect and, went and got a construction loan and we added on to the very first one that we built and expanded it to 14 residents.
You guys are bold. I like that.
Yeah, so that was our very first project, and then our second location, it's in a town called Conroe, so kind of
Mhm.
north Houston. That was an interesting job. We found a very old colonial style home, and that was built in the '60s, totally outdated, blue carpet, wood paneling. I
Wow.
mean, it was very old, but it was on a huge lot and very very impressive. And, I said, this needs to be our second location. This house is beautiful. And so I can dive more into some of the horror stories that came along with doing that. But again, each time, Carl, that's, I'm, as an entrepreneur, my approach, I'm kind of known for backing myself in a corner, right? That's how I learn, that's how I grow. But sometimes as an entrepreneur, you jump out of the airplane and you start building your chute on the way down.
I
And
agree.
that was, but that's kind of how we roll, and pretty much in everything we do in business is, if we feel passionate about it, if we feel strongly enough, we're going to take action. I've consulted with a lot of people over the years across the country, helping them do the exact same thing that I'm still doing. And, I see a lot of people overthinking or, kind of getting stuck in, paralysis by analysis, right? They're just overthinking. And so, one of the things that I encourage you as well is just, don't overthink it. Just, one step in front of the other, and just always, taking action to move the needle and get closer to where you're trying to go.
Yeah, that's an awesome story. That's I think that's I share a very similar story myself. I got into real estate investing in 2020, during like COVID, and I was just thinking, I had like young kids, like how am I gonna spend more time with them? And I thought, I bought like 2 single families in one year, and I thought I was gonna be a millionaire.
Yeah.
And then like I was like, wait a second, I'm only cash flowing like 150 or 200 from these. Like it's not something to quit my job over,
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, oh, there's got to be something else. And
Sure.
ultimately, it was my parents that, them verbalizing to me like, hey, we can't afford, staying in America to retire. We need to go back to the Philippines. And I was like, I don't want that because I've always
Yeah.
been with you guys. It's
Yeah.
not like that's different. I'll,
Yeah.
I'll only see you like 5 more times and then I'll never see you again. Because how often do I go to the Philippines is
Yeah.
hard to go back to.
Sure. Sure.
So
Well,
that was the thing.
it's, this is kind of interesting, and I always wanted this opportunity, and it finally actually transpired this week. But I mentioned that we just had our first 3 residents in this new location of ours. One of those 3 residents is my own grandmother,
That's beautiful. Look
and
at that. Look at that.
it took a little bit of convincing. My grandfather, he passed a few years ago, and she has been home alone in the same home that they've been in for over 50 years. And so she's 94, started having some falls. 2 weeks ago, she had a pretty big fall, really banged up her face, and was home alone. And, thank God she had one of those little bracelets that, she pushes it and the fire department shows up. Yeah, I hate to think about what would things look like if she didn't have that, but I went and saw her in the hospital and I said, look, your grandson owns an assisted living facility. And I know you've heard me talk about this. I just built one from the ground up. It's like the Taj Mahal of, assisted living. You've got to come here, and I'm not going to charge you anything. Like, it's free for you. And, she was very overwhelmed with gratitude, but, convincing her, I mean, that's a real thing, right?
Yeah.
No one really wants to move out of their own home, but it's super cool because now I get to see her more. But she is just overwhelmed, with joy for, being here. But she also knows it was the right decision because, my staff, they're always here. They're always checking on her. Now she's eating better. She's sleeping better, and she's always got eyes on her. And so I'm very excited to have her as one of our first residents here in the new location.
That's excellent. That's that I have a lot of dreams, but that's one of the dreams that I would like to do as well. Like I've seen the care homes and like assisted living facilities around Houston, and you know they leave much, to be they're not that great.
Dude, I get it. And
You know?
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's okay to say that because,
Yeah.
I have very high standards. And,
Yes. Yes.
I told my grandmother, I said, hey, Nana, it's almost like I've got 25, 30 grandparents. And,
Yeah.
I treat everyone like they're my grandparent or my own parents.
Mhm.
And that has served us very well, by leading, I always say that revenue is a byproduct of helping people.
Exactly.
If you will put people first and really serve hard, serve people,
Mhm.
the numbers will take care of themselves. And
Mhm.
so, but yes, there's a lot, especially in Harris County and in the Houston area. There's even a lot of unlicensed homes, which I have a
Yes.
real problem with that. And we can talk about it if you want, but, you've been in some of these and I have as well when, I being in the industry for as long as I have, I've toured a lot of facilities. I've
Mhm.
been in some super nice ones, and I've been in some that I don't even think I would let my pet stay there for a weekend.
Mhm.
So it's we're all about raising the bar, and again going back to just putting people first.
Mhm.
It's huge.
I agree. I mean, like, I work at a commercial brokerage. That's how I got this one because it was someone trying to sell an assisted living facility. And so we've toured a couple, and each one that we toured probably like there's two trying to sell, but we didn't even want to put our name on it because it's that bad. Like,
Yeah,
40%, 30% occupancy, like not the greatest inside, just like a depressing feeling. And
yeah.
just thinking of, I'm responsible for someone getting here and living in these conditions. Like, I mean, I can't, we can't do it. So luckily,
Well,
my broker is with me. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
no, and I mean, there are cosmetic things you can do, right? I mean,
Mhm.
you can paint, and I certainly did that on the first one. Um,
Mhm.
I'm still in contact with the lady that we bought it from, and she's a huge fan, and always commenting on our Facebook stuff, and
Mhm.
she has seen that not only did we buy her little 6-bed home, we scaled and really kept it going. But what I'll never forget. I mean, one of the first things that I did when we purchased, that home is I went through the house and changed out every light bulb, and
Mhm.
put in LED light bulbs and a lot of light. And then my wife and I, we started painting rooms, and I literally had a dumpster delivered, and I was, throwing out old furniture and chairs, and just bringing in very new, modern things, and really to kind of give everything a facelift because,
Mhm.
that's the first thing that people see when they're touring,
Mhm.
and those first impressions they're everything, right?
Mhm.
So there's cosmetic things you can do, but some things are just sometimes it's easier or better just to say no thanks, and sounds like that's kind of the place that you're referring to.
Yeah, and touring them, I realized like area matters. Like
Yeah,
where the assisted living facility is located, it kind of matches like the kind of people that want to put their family in that place. So after a while, I was like, okay, that makes sense why that was like that,
yeah,
or that was set up that way. And it almost feels like there's no budget because we're in this kind of like neighborhood.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so that's one of the takeaways I got from that. It's like, okay, I really need to be mindful of like where am I buying? Like what kind of area am I buying into?
Well, I mean, no, that's a huge point, and it's an important one because you know, you're not going to get, if the area is in kind of a subpar part of
Mhm.
town or in a neighborhood, chances are you're probably not going to be able to command, rents of, five, six, $7,000 a month in rent, per
Mhm.
bed.
Mhm.
If, and of course, if you think about it, from the family's point of view, they're not going to want to drive
Yeah.
to the hood to go see
Yeah.
mom or dad. And
Yeah.
so those things do matter. Location is important. And, you know, a lot of the people that I've consulted with over the years, that's the demographics and, you know, and just the location or during that process, it is important.
Hmm. Actually, you know what? Since we're going to be taking over this facility, one of the things we're kind of dealing with is, I didn't realize purchasing a facility, everything is like hush hush. Like nobody really wants to let anybody know that they're selling. How did you guys deal with it? Like our plan is to just have like a meeting like a week before, and we're offering everybody raises so they don't just jump ship. But like, how did y'all do it with that first one?
Yeah, you know, so I mean, there's several reasons why, you know, obviously you would want to keep it quiet until
Mhm.
everything was finalized. You know, obviously the first one is, you know, what if the deal falls through? You know,
Mhm.
the current owners don't really want to announce it to the staff, you know, and or maybe they have, but you know, they don't want to send panic through the home
Exactly. Exactly.
that these new owners are coming in, right?
Yeah.
So thinking back to the way we did it is, you know, I think that we got the manager of the home that we acquired. She knew that the sellers were getting out of the business, and so because we had meetings with her during our due diligence process, and but you know, I think word got out you know, around the staff, and that was okay. But we controlled the narrative with the residents and the family. And
Mhm.
one of the first things we did was just, you know, we sent out an email and a letter to all of our current residents' families introducing ourselves.
Okay.
And then we ended up having, you know, probably within just a matter of days of closing on the business, we had a little like a meet the owners event.
Nice.
Come by for coffee and tea and cookies and meet the new owners, you know. And so and which again, I think that's actually kind of important because, you know, the leadership is so important, right? And
Mhm.
you don't want to send a message to the families, you know, that that is negative, or they have you know, that the fact that there's the place has been sold to someone else, you don't want that to trigger fear and security, and they just get their loved one and move them out.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so, you know, I think it's all about the way you frame it. And, you know, and so, yeah, that would be my suggestion is, you know, once you've done the transaction as quickly as possible, try to get in front of those families and let them know who you are, your wife, and let them get to know you. And then you can take that as an opportunity to let those families know about maybe some things that you're excited about changing within the home,
Mhm.
improvements, and let them get to know you and your vision for, you know, where you want to take things. That gives them a great deal of security.
I like that. I like that. Definitely a meet and greet, probably over like a course of like a week or something. That would be the best thing.
Yeah, yeah,
That's good.
exactly.
Good. Okay, that's awesome. Now you mentioned these deals. Like, I usually ask like, what is one challenge and one solution? But I feel like what for you, what is your favorite challenge, or what is the challenge that always comes up, and do you have a solution for it, or what is like a unique challenge that you face with these assisted
Well,
livings?
you know, there's lots of challenges, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm trying to think, do you want to be a little bit more specific as far as, there's so many routes I could take here: marketing,
Mhm.
staff, you know, residents. You know, I
Let's-
mean,
What about marketing? Yes. Yeah, marketing. What about the marketing aspect of it?
marketing is probably one of the things that I enjoy the most.
Okay.
You know, I enjoy marketing because, and by the way, go find Seasons on Facebook,
Mhm.
or I think on YouTube. There's a video. It's probably been about 3 or 4 years ago. Just type
Uh-huh.
in Seasons Conroe,
I'm gonna type that in.
type in YouTube, and you'll see a video that we did. And I actually used that video as kind of a marketing tool to announce the opening of this home. And so I enjoy marketing. I think that, when I'm consulting with someone or, coaching or whatever, and I'm hearing that, we need to get our beds filled, we're not getting that many tours, I always say you either have a market problem or a marketing problem. And it's going to be one of those two things. And, if we've already talked about due diligence and location, the market, but marketing is very key. And so I use a lot of video and, social media. Video is a very powerful tool, and it can really, create an emotion with someone, but also it gives people a chance to know you. And I did a video for this new building that we're in, and I had all this video footage of during the entire construction process, and I had drones flying all over the property and things like that. And so I kicked off the opening of our new one with just, a very heartfelt kind of video, telling about, this land and, what we're going to do in this area. So you can go find that somewhere. But marketing is, it can be it is a competitive industry to a degree. And so, it's all about making sure that people know who you are and that you're always staying in the front of their mind. Not only the general public in that area, directly, but we get a lot of our residents just from direct referrals from physicians, nurses, home health, hospice. We've kind of created a little brand for ourselves, and we're known for, we're not the cheapest in town, which is fine. We're not for everybody, but we are known if you want the best in assisted living, you're going to move mom or dad in to our place. And we've worked really hard to get that. We've gotten a lot of, over the years, we've received a lot of awards, best of this or best assisted living. I guess it was last year we won the Torch Home of the Year. Torch is a Texas organization of residential care homes. It's a organization. You should definitely check that out. But yeah, so we've won a lot of awards, locally, at the state level, even nationally. U.S. News recognized us. That's super cool. And that gives us a little bit of clout, but I always like to follow it up by saying that it's not about how pretty our homes are. It's not about me or my wife or the managers. It's all about the staff. It's all about the care that we provide. We can have the prettiest home, and the food is amazing, but if we don't have good caregivers, if we don't have good leadership in the home, it's going to come off the rails at some point. And word's going to get out there for that. So, but to answer your question, I love marketing. It's to me, that's the fun part.
I think I do too. Like I like making videos and just kind of sharing, like I feel like a building is just a building until you put like your soul or a little bit of your soul into it, So that's
100%.
I like to bring that out through like video if possible or to pictures, I was a photographer like a few years ago for like wedding and portraits. So
Yeah.
it's I've always like enjoyed that kind of like look to things.
Yeah, no, definitely and there are certain things, again, you're raising the bar, is kind of how I look at it. We hired, all of our homes, we've hired professional photographers, to come in and really, on the Conroe video I mentioned, we hired actors, senior actors,
awesome.
to be in the video. And they crushed it. They did a great job. And now I've got all this footage, and I can repurpose that. And we do. But, again, it's about framing things that, this is new, this is different, and this is definitely something that, we need to look at getting mom or dad into.
That's excellent. That's excellent. You mentioned something before about it wasn't a challenge. It was about like the construction process, like a challenge with the construction. Um, what do you remember what that was? I should have asked you like right then and
Well,
there.
I mean, you probably heard me reference it took longer than what
Yeah.
it should. Anytime you build from the ground up, there's a lot of things that have to happen well in advance before you even break ground, and this, you're in the commercial real estate space. Soil testing and engineers and architects, and so that there's quite a long period of time where you're just trying to get your financing, get your permit, get your construction financing, getting your permanent financing all squared away, and so I think the biggest thing and again, as long as I'm failing forward and learning from my mistakes, I'm a college dropout. College just wasn't for me. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And so I kind of still consider, even so, we've had some costly mistakes, I kind of consider that as part of my education, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so, but just making sure that whoever you hire to construct the facility really has a handle on all the aspects. In fact, I'll go as far to say this. I would not hire a residential home builder to build a brand new facility. I wouldn't do it. I would hire a commercial builder. Commercial development is completely different, and it goes faster because they all know what they're doing, and there's a lot of commercial aspects. This home, this 16-bed home, it looks like a single family home, and it's gorgeous. It looks like something out of like Southern Living or something like that, out of a magazine. So there's a lot of residential characteristics, but there's still a lot of commercial aspects to this building. And, with the fire alarms, the sprinklers, it's going to be a memory care home as well. So we have access control on all the doors. And so, just making sure that, whoever you choose to do the construction, that they're willing to, to go along on the ride with you and stay the course.
I like that. That's a good tip. Going with a commercial builder. That's and I would have think because it's residential, like assisted living, usually it's like you go residential, but that's a good tip.
No, I've learned my lesson on that for sure. Commercial development too, they're almost, depending on how you structure it, they're incentivized to get done as quickly as possible because they need to move on to other jobs. And but commercial construction, they're also known for taking a little bit more time on the front end, meaning the pre-development work that needs to happen. So once they do break ground, it goes very quickly, and they've got trades lined up, and they've got dedicated project management that is there just cracking the whip, and I need you in and out in a week so the next trade can come in. And so you don't find that with just a single family home builder. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I get it. And then last question, tell me more about this serve hard. I feel like that means like that's a powerful statement for you. Like, tell me about that.
Yeah, man, serve hard is it's something new. I haven't spoken a lot about it, but it's a movement that I am creating. That is made up of entrepreneurs like us that are committed to excellence. They're committed to we all serve someone, right? Whether it's our wife, our spouse, our kids. If you have faith, it's and it's about showing up and just always giving 100%. So it's about personal excellence, and it doesn't necessarily have to mean in senior living. But to me, serving hard is just being very present. I feel like a lot of men, or men especially, a lot of people are just kind of sleepwalking. They're going through the motions. And so serve hard is about being, very purposeful, and very, moving forward with intent. I took two words that I've been saying for years, internally to my staff or to my family, like, we have a new resident moving in this week. We've got to serve this family hard. I want you here on move-in day. I want you here. My kids, I know that you don't like cheerleading right now, but you just signed up and you're committed, so you're going to stay here and serve this team hard. Baseball. I mean, I can give you a million examples, but I have a very big vision, and I can't share too much currently, but here in maybe just a few weeks, I'll provide you with some more info. I feel like that there's a really big gap in the learning of this business. I have a real problem with the educators in this space. You've got people that maybe they manage to build, one location, their little mansion, and they think they're an expert, and they start a course or a consulting or a university, or then you've got these academies that, they get you pumped up, and then they hit you with the high ticket offer. I am about to disrupt all of that with something new. So I'm starting a brand new company that is both it's an education and a software company that is going to really help people learn this business the right way. And it's going to be positioned, because I feel like that everyone needs the right knowledge. You've got these gurus out there, and you've got people that think they're an expert, but they're really not, or they're just sharing old information, or just sharing information that they've learned on their one little project. I've been doing this a long time, but I'm in these different Facebook groups, and I see people that, I used to be a state surveyor and owned properties back in the day, and let me consult with you, but they're not in the field. They're not doing it now. And so I started thinking, my team and I, of, how could we take education to the people and make it so easy for people to get in this business? Because I think that the big problem for me, Carl, is that it's true, there's not enough beds to support the number of baby boomers that are, going to be needing assisted living and memory care. And more people need to get in this business to just support, all the seniors that are going to need care. But there's a lot of bad information out there. There's a lot of bad information out there, or a lot of people that they want to charge a credit card for some consulting and, sell a course or whatever. And so I'm about to disrupt all of that. You'll probably see some announcements soon. And this is something that I've been working on for over a year now. And dude, I'm really excited about this new thing. And like I said, I'll share more in just a few weeks.
I'm excited.
But it'll be a great tool for you, and really for anyone that truly wants to learn this business, and from someone that is actually doing this business the right way. So anyways, I'm excited about that. But yeah, dude, serve hard is part of that. It's a mission, it's a movement of excellence, just trying to be the best at everything we do.
I love that. Yeah, like excellence is important because it really shows that you care about what you're doing. Like we can do something just to do it.
Sure.
But if you're not doing it hard or excellent, then that's how you really know, like, hey, this is what someone likes to do. This is where their heart is,
100%. Yeah, definitely.
It's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's awesome, Shawn. How do we reach you? Like, what's the best way to reach you? Like, if someone were to say like, hey, teach me your ways, where do I go?
Yeah, you can find. I mean, you can type in my name and I'll pop up on Google, Instagram, the Shawn Medlin. Just type my name in, Facebook, ShawnMedlin, or you can go to shawnmedlin.com and reach me that way as well. But I'm out there on social media. My youngest is only 4 years old, and I've got
hey.
three kids at home, and they've kind of seen mom and dad, do all of this over the years. And my life is kind of nuts right now, just chasing kids and all that stuff. But yeah, dude, I'm very, if you can't tell, I'm very passionate about what we do. But I'm also I'm passionate about helping other people like yourself learn the right way to do this business.
Exactly. That was one of the things too. Like, I'm a rookie. I have nothing to teach someone, but I need to connect with experts so they can teach everyone else that is interested, because it's an important niche that we're in,
Yeah.
and it's a very it's important, and it's also like it's almost like necessary. I feel like we all need to have one. I mean, because we all have parents. I mean, my gosh.
I know. I mean, like I said, man, I just got my own grandmother, and
Yeah, yeah.
my parents. I mean, they always say, man, if I ever do have to leave my own home, I hope to be in a place like this,
That's
because
excellent.
they see what we're doing, and I know your parents will be the exact same way.
Mhm.
But I love the business. I mean, it's a real estate play and a business play,
Mhm.
but the two combined create a very powerful force, especially in the world of commercial lending, because they're all
Mhm.
commercial assets. And so we have, in the past 8 years, our net worth has gone into the millions because of this
Mhm.
business. But it all started with my one little 6-bed home. And
That's
so
excellent.
I always tell people, whatever it is you're thinking, think bigger. Because there's a tremendous need out there for this. But it's a very exciting business. And yeah, if there's anything I can do to support you, by all means, let me know.
Yeah, I definitely need to reach out back to you, since I didn't realize we're in Houston together. I was like, oh wow, hold on.
Yeah.
Next we'll do a face to face next time. We'll do it at Seasons.
Yeah, yeah, I'd love to give you a tour of the new place. And we can talk offline. I can kind of walk you through some things, pros and
Mhm.
cons, and things to look out for. But and it sounds like you're going through the due diligence process right now,
Yeah, yeah.
which that's actually something I enjoy, because it's a process, right? You've got to
Mhm.
tease out what the real numbers. I call it
Mhm.
recasting their numbers.
Mhm.
And what are these true expenses, or are you running a lot of your own personal expenses through the business, and
I'm
all the
seeing that.
things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm seeing
yeah.
that.
And so all of but you
Yeah.
need to kind of rework things
Mhm.
during that due diligence process to find out the true value, of both the real estate and the business, so you can
Mhm.
make a great offer, but that you're not overpaying and all that. So I
Mhm.
enjoy the due diligence process. Acquisitions are fun. I think you're making a great move, by starting there first, because
Mhm.
it's a business in a box. I mean, once you close, it's
It's
yours.
running.
It's
Yeah.
running. And
Mhm.
but what that does, though, Carl, is it creates a compelling story for the bank,
Mhm.
because you get the business, and all of a sudden, your 6, 8 bed, whatever, you've got a P&L in place now,
Mhm.
and you can go to the bank to make an equity play or do other things, and get financing on your second or third and fourth locations. But
Mhm.
it all, so I think acquisition is a excellent place to start. Obviously, I'm partial, because that's how I got my start, but it got me out of corporate America, and I kept my day job. This interesting note: My wife and I both kept our W-2 jobs, one or both of us, for the first couple of years.
Oh, wow.
And it was, I'll never forget, it was kind of interesting. I never told anyone. I had a really good setup. I worked for a company that was based in California, but I worked at home, which is great. I did my work, I did my job, but I wasn't in a cubicle in a high rise with the boss standing over my shoulder.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I was out
That's
looking
excellent.
so I'm out looking at real estate. I'm talking to, even when we started construction, I'm on site, but I kept that, but I'll never forget, once I left, you're talking about a 10-year career in tech. Once I left, and my old colleagues were like, what are you, like, working with old people now? I mean, they didn't get it,
Yeah.
and I said, no, actually, I've started my own senior living company, and I'm out. Like, I'm out. And now I'm at the point where I'm unemployable. I think once you get a taste of not being, a W-2 employee, I would make the worst employee. But anyways, but yeah, that's a kind of a fun side note. But dude, again, sincerely, whatever I can do to support you, I think it's cool that you're in Houston. So let me know how I can help you.
That's awesome. Thank you, Shawn. Appreciate that.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Well, that's all for our show, and I appreciate your time.